Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Lifesize Live, the live web show produced entirely using the Lifesize platform. I'm your host, James Charzak, and today our guest, Gayle Wiley, who is the Chief People Officer here at Lifesize, is going to be discussing how to engage a global workforce. Thanks for joining us, Gayle.
Thank you, James. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me and to talk about one of my favorite topics.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to have you. So let's start just by defining some terms first. Employee engagement. What are we talking about when we talk about employee engagement?
So when I think of employee engagement, it's all about that emotional commitment you have with your job, with the organization, with its goals. And what I find, if you're emotionally committed, your job really has a deeper personal meaning to you. It's more than just a job.
Right.
And that deeper meaning really comes from your relationship with your colleagues. You're in a role that leverages your strength. Mm-hmm. And what you find is people that are totally engaged, they have incredible discretionary effort. They'll go above and beyond the call of duty to get things done. Mm-hmm. You come in at 7 a.m, you have a full day, you're packing up to go home, and a colleague calls or even a customer calls for something, and you'll spend an extra 2 hours without even being asked. Mm-hmm. So really going beyond that call of duty to get things done.
Right.
Those are all things I think of when I think of, what is engagement.
Sure, absolutely. So customer engagement, why? Let's start with the why, right? Why is that important to companies today?
Well, it's important because engaged people are motivated and they do extraordinary work. When you look at all the metrics of revenue, profitability, quality, customer retention, if employee engagement is high, all of those metrics are high. Gallup and McKinsey have done lots of studies and work on the topic of engagement. And Gallup, surveyed thousands of companies. And their results, they sort of use the analogy comparing it to rowers. Mm-hmm. And they said there, at any given time at a company, there are kind of three groups of people.
Okay.
30% kind of fall in that group that you call paddlers. Okay. If you imagine they've got their oars in the water, they know where the North Star is, they know what their individual role is in getting things done, and they're all going in the same direction. That's 30%. Okay. Mm-hmm. 52% are passengers. They've got their oars in the water. They have somewhat of an understanding of where the North Star is, but they're not quite sure what their role is.
Okay.
So they're busy, mm-hmm. but they're kind of, they're really passengers.
Okay.
And then you got 18% mm-hmm. that have their oars in the water and they're going in the opposite direction than you want them to go. Mm-hmm. So ideally, obviously, we want everyone to be paddlers, and that's right. The ultimate goal.
Right.
But clearly, the interest in this and why it's so important, as I said earlier, it significantly impacts metrics, mm-hmm. happy employees, happy customers, customer retention goes up. It also helps in your ability to attract and retain good people.
Sure, absolutely. Those are shocking figures, 30%. As you think about the global landscape, other companies out there, who are some companies that are doing this well?
I think of Google. Another company that comes to mind is Zappos. I think of the book Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh. Mm-hmm. And, they really spent a lot of time at Zappos on building a strong culture, really putting those values in place, which is the framework and anchor for culture. Sure. They also, when they recruit people that not only align with the culture, but they also recruit people that not only work well together, have the skills, but also play together. So it creates somewhat of a esprit de corps. It's a magical kind of environment.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's what I think of when I think of, companies that do that really well and what we aspire to do.
Great. Excellent. So for those folks who are watching at home, or in the office, I guess, in their office, what would be some steps, some action steps that they can take to apply this at their companies?
Yeah. I think from a company perspective, there are some things that need to happen first. One is a really strong positive culture,
Absolutely.
one that, we're building here at Lifesize, having values, which is all about how, it creates that environment. It's the personality of an organization. It starts there.
Sure.
Number two is strong leadership and strong management. If you're looking to engage folks, it really starts with not only winning their heads, their minds, but also their hearts. And from a leader's perspective, that means two things are really important: trust and compassion. Employees need to trust you. That means doing what you say you're going to do, making sure employees have everything they need to be successful in the way of information. They're interacting with the right folks across the organization that they need help from. And then compassion is critical. It's about caring. It's about caring about your folks, getting to know your folks on a very personal level, knowing what's important to them. When I think of compassion, when I think of engagement, it's a very personal thing. What might be engaging to me may not be so engaging to you.
Sure.
What may be important to you is cool technology. For me, it might be autonomy or more flex time. But it's important that you ask the question and find out and then try to provide it. Thank you is also important. And when I say thank you, I mean recognition.
Okay.
When good things are done, high fives in the hallway, virtual high fives. We have a global workforce. We have this great technology. A handwritten note. I remember several jobs ago, my boss wrote me a letter at the end of the year of all the things that I'd done that he thought were created value. I still got that note today.
Yeah. That goes a long way.
And then lastly, communication. Most environments are not unlike ours. They're very fluid. Lots of things are happening rapidly. Things are changing. So it's important to stay connected.
Right.
So, there are formal mechanisms with town halls, one-on-ones, but really staying in sync, making sure everyone has real-time information as to what's going on. All of those things go to make up that environment and really, I think, facilitate and help with engagement.
Excellent. Yeah, and I know the Lifesize platform really helps out a lot with that, with our employees all over the world. I know that with one click, pretty easy to get in touch. So.
Absolutely, and if they're not live, you can record it and they can see it later.
Yeah. So it's obvious that you're very passionate about this topic, and I would love to kind of bring it down to a personal level. What does this mean for you and your role here at Lifesize?
Yeah, I am a career HR professional, and I'm very passionate about this topic, but it is my personal mission that for every Lifesizer, the Lifesize experience in working here is the most significant. And when they look back on the work here, they look and they say, this was the most significant in my career. This was the very best experience. So for me, every day when I'm coming in, I'm focusing on what I can do to make sure everyone is in a role that leverages their strength, they're challenged, they're in an environment and a strong culture where they can do their best work, and they have the opportunity to learn and grow. So me being focused on that every day it takes my personal engagement off the charts.
Right, absolutely. Well, we're thankful for all that you've done here at Lifesize, and thank you so much for this time with us this morning. And everybody at home, I hope you'll join us on Thursday as we meet with Ken Kahn from Eye2Eye Technology. He's going to talk with us about innovation in the distance learning space. Thanks very much, and have a great day.
Bye, everybody.